Hey everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel, and today we are going to discuss something that has been asked the most recently, which is how do we document requirements for our technical team for an AI agent which our company wants to build. This has been asked quite a lot from some time now. Today I'm taking a jab on it, which is I'm gonna give you a walkthrough of how I do my documentation and what all are the key steps that I take while gathering or building requirements for building an AI agent. So at the very behest, I always believe that document is key to success. If you are able to document things and assign relevant team members to do their bit, uh, everything becomes smooth, right? So building a document is necessary at the very first. Then give some brief information because this will be an inter teams document or interdepartment document. So give them the brief summary, tell them what you are trying to resolve, all of that fancy stuff. If there is any role or any type access that we are looking at, mention that as well. What is the key, or what kind of an impact will each area have? Which is, if it's an operational agent, what how will it make that particular operation efficient by deploying an AI agent? How will people know about this feature or an agent, which is sales selling it, marketing selling it, CS upselling their existing customers? Now is the major area that we need to focus on. Usually, I've seen product teams not being able to build POCs around what is expected out of an agent, right? They are the first team that interact with business to understand what business is trying to solve. So I recommend and highly recommend having a lot of no code tools, no code AI agent building platforms available. Give it a try, see what kind of functionality, what kind of prompts, what kind of information should be provided, so that we can basically give some additional insight to our technical team. The most important part of building requirements for an agent will be the input parameters. We'll always have to identify what will be the input and how will our agent process that input, right? Will it be a document, will it be a text file, will it be an HTML, will it be a CSV? It can be any file format that is there existing in the market, but we should be able to, we as product team should be able to define the requirements in a way that technical team will know what type of modules or what they call as layers they need to build, right? So input is very mandatory. What we are trying to process, how we are trying to process, that's something really really important. And then is your workflow, right? What should agent do when the processing completes, right? We can have an agent do X number of things. For in this case, we are looking for an agent who can identify ICD-10s out of a clinical progress note, right? So processing a progress note or processing a clinical progress note becomes your layer one, and then on that progress notes, identifying the addressed ICD-10 codes that are written there becomes your layer 2, and among layer 1 and layer 2 you'll have to identify, or you'll have to add one more semi layer that will either rely on the model for you to tell which ICD-10 code is what, or we provide an additional knowledge base to our agent that it can take reference from, which is going back to a spreadsheet and telling that this code equals to this name, right? So all of those workflow processes have to be defined at an pretty early, so that your technical team will draft their technical documentation and think of an architecture which is pretty much scalable. Once your process is drafted, we might also want to process the output based on some general classification rules, right? And these classification rules are always from the domain experts. If it's an agent for marketing, marketing team and CMOs become your domain expert. If it's related to products, CPOs. If it's about technology, CTOs, developers, senior leaders, and all of that. So these classification rules help the agent refine the output and hallucinate less, knowing again, a base model is trained on thousands and thousands of different data points, and in that case finding the right answer is very hard. And then we should be able to give them an output. Now you know what you have ingested, you know what you have processed, and you know what ruling or what criteria definition has been provided on the agent to give the output. Now you also have to derive what the output would be. That will again in collaboration with any of the domain experts, which is what you are trying to do with the data output that you have received from the agent. Is it an output that you can further use in your internal workflows or operations, or is it something brand new that you can use and consume? So output is very much necessary. So in this case, with what we haven't taken as an example, which is identifying ICD-10s, we'll have a list of all of the ICD-10 codes that were addressed within the clinical progress note, right? So this is your output, which is not the full, which is not the end. Then once the output is derived, we'll have to provide some, evaluated, I mean, some elements for them to know if a model hallucinates a little bit, what to do and what not to do. So which is identifying more and more edge cases that can come up while you are speaking to an agent. So you usually give them some test cases that are usually coming from the domain experts itself, so that they can control the hallucination of the AI agent that we are trying to build. And like I said, once agent, so we have the input, we know what we are processing, we know what we are injecting, we know what is the output, but we'll also want to know the benchmark, right? That can only come in once you will know what you are testing, right? So for example, in the case of what we are trying to do, we can have benchmark of how many true positives were there in terms of agent being able to identify the right ICD-10s. How many, false positives were there that our agent identified but should have not identified, and all of that fancy stuff. So it's again one more layer of refinement that basically aligns the use case with what the expected output is. Workflow modules, this is something that I always, push for our internal community people to do, which is product people. Try to get your hands on actual tech. So in this case, AirOps is an basically a model that I'm using, or a front end or a platform that I'm using that helps me build these agents pretty quickly, and it also gives you understanding of how basically things work. Like I said, we'll always have an input, then we'll have a memory search. For in our case was finding the ICD-10 code and the name of the ICD-10 code. Then is your agent processing, that will always be based on the prompts, right? Prompts and clinical criteria usually, and then you will have the end, which is your output. But this is one workflow or one agent. Now there can be 1,000 different agents that we want to build, right? And each agent will have its own input, it will have its own processing, or the process that it has to follow. It will have some classification, it will have some output, it will have some expected evaluation or some benchmark that we can, uh, which our domain experts can test upon. So I'll always recommend you to build these workflow modules so that you can have better understanding on this. Overall, you have the test cases, and if it's required for project management teams, you can also provide them some user stories and acceptance criteria for what you are drafting. But the overall schema is, it's pretty easy if you know what the agent's exact output should be. And if you're struggling right now in understanding or gathering requirements, just keep on speaking to your domain experts for whom you're building this use case. Get yourself in a place where you can build these small micro biz apps via different platforms that are available, and then I believe the documentation part of the agent building will become very easy. There are multiple products like this you can use. You can use Vertex, you can use Cloud Sonnet, you can use Gemini, you can use GPT. Start building your own small micro biz applications and try to test out to build bigger workflows that can do a lot of stuff, knowing eventually SaaS will get evicted and micro SaaS or agentic SaaS will come into play. And product being a department that is affected, not directly but indirectly, with the rise of AI. So you should be taking all of these products and services available in the market for your own good rather than you backing off from them. More you know about these products and more you know about how they work, more safer you'll feel within the next 10 to 15 years of all of this agentic revolution that we are seeing. So this is it from this video. If you have any questions, any concerns, please comment. I'm gonna paste this link in the video description for any one of you to download. And if you still need one complete documentation for an AI agent, I can do that. You just need to give me some motivation to do that. But overall, this is a structure, and if you think it's useful and consumable and was informative, you can like, share, and probably subscribe and get more content related to this. Thank you so much. Bye. Take care of yourself.